welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm Josh Schimmels, publisher and CEO of the Los Angeles Business Journal, and it's an honor to be here hosting our 2020 CFO Awards. It's been an interesting year for most professionals and most industries, and I can tell you personally, after having read through each one of our nominations, it became very clear that CFOs have had to reinvent themselves, reinvent the processes that they use as much as anybody else. So it really is a privilege to honor the great work that they do to keep our community of business as financially healthy as possible. Let me tell you a little bit about how today's program is going to work. We are going to kick things off with a panel of financial leaders. We're going to ask questions about lessons learned from the pandemic, the state of the financial community, and how the panel is currently advising businesses on issues such as access to capital, growth plans, and opportunities. You can read about each of our panelists by going to our website using the link that you see on the screen right now. We're also going to be conducting a series of live audience poll questions throughout the panel. So when you do see the question pop up on your screen, we'd love for you to participate and share your experiences with us. After the panel, we're going to begin the awards portion of the program, where we'll be announcing 3 finalists and ultimately 1 winner in 9 different award categories. In a moment, I'm going to be introducing our nominees. Before doing so, I'd like to say thank you to our amazing group of sponsors who've helped us once again make sure that the spirit of this program is alive. Many of them have been with us for years, so I want to thank them for their continued partnership and all that they do to support our community of business. It's with great appreciation that I recognize first our 3 diamond sponsors: Fifth Third Bank, Marsha McLennan Agency, and RSM. Thank you all so much. Also, our 3 platinum sponsors: BMO Harris Bank, the Nazarian College of Business and Economics at CSUN, and PwC. Additionally, I'd like to thank all of our gold sponsors joining us today: CBiz MHM, Mankind, Manufacturers Bank, Miller Kaplan, Shamrock Capital Advisors, Union Bank, and US Bank. Thank you all so much for recognizing this program and helping to support it. At this time, it is my honor to formally introduce and announce our 2020 Class of CFO Award nominees. Congratulations to each of you. Virtual round of applause for all of our nominees. Congratulations to each and every one of you. It's a privilege for us to be able to honor you. All right, let's talk about the state of finance in Los Angeles. We are going to hop right into the panel now. It's my pleasure to introduce our three panelists joining us. First, we have Brandon Ferreira, Southern California Market Executive, Middle Market Banking for Fifth Third Bank. Brian Haggerty, Principal Managing Director, Los Angeles, Employee Benefits Division with Marsh & McLennan Agency. And Atul Sapra, Principal International Tax Services with RSM. I want to thank each of you for being here and taking time to be part of this. I know that a lot of preparation goes into this. Given our time constraints, we are going to hop right into the discussion. As we know, we are coming up on nearly 6 months since the county started the Safer at Home protocol. The markets have been impacted. Businesses have all been impacted. We've all personally been impacted. So my first question I have is for Brian and Brandon. How would you say that the economy has most impacted your clients? I guess in short, what's keeping them up at night? Brandon, let's start with you.
Hey, thanks, Josh. Appreciate it and excited to be here today. I think it's pretty clear at this point with the impact of COVID and the pandemic that our clients who rely on foot traffic to drive revenue have really been the most impacted. And we've been fortunate. We've seen the power of great management teams to adjust on the fly and position their company and their balance sheet to weather the storm. But it's clear, those types of businesses, retail, restaurants, entertainment, lodging, leisure, and businesses that have similar characteristics are definitely the ones that have been the most impacted. And then what's keeping folks up at night? It's really, an ongoing uncertainty, right? I think everyone is still monitoring and measuring what the ongoing impact is going to be on their business. And it's that, kind of, even if things are going well right now, really, what's around the corner. So that's what I'd say is keeping people up at night. Brian, what are you hearing at Marsh and with your clients?
Yeah, I think Brandon took my answer. I talked to him briefly before this, but I give him credit. We're kind of seeing the same things, in terms of, clients being negatively impacted by supply chain interruptions and obviously workforce challenges. And as Brandon mentioned, a lot of this, really depending upon the nature of the business, especially as he said, retail, restaurant, hospitality, nonprofit are struggling. But, on the other side of that, we're seeing other industries that are thriving, construction, technology, life sciences, and some other people are doing very well in this pandemic, in terms of keeping up at night, managing cash flow concerns. And I think, we even fall into this category of being publicly traded is, not being able to forecast at all, given the timeline of when this will pass and how to account for that. I'm seeing a lot of businesses struggle and what does the future look like and how can we account for what the next 6 months does look like, what the next year looks like.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. I think that we can all agree that forecasting today for what the fourth quarter looks like, for what the first half of next year, really the next year is going to look like, is extremely challenging. We are going to get into talking about opportunities, as you mentioned, a little bit later. My next question is for Atul, and it's going to go into a little bit more financial depth here. So we all know about the PPP, but I'm interested in learning about perhaps other new state or federal regulations or laws that have been put into place over the last 6 months or so that you're seeing impacting your clients the most. Atul, can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, and Josh, that's a great question, and it's something that clients have been asking us too. What's new? And I think I'll start off with that question is new. Honestly, I mean, if you look at the last 6 months, the big kind of a watershed legislation was the CARES Act in March. That kind of gave us the PPP, kind of the additional liquidity through loans and the other tax provisions, which I'll briefly mention. But since then, you've had a couple minor improvements to the PPP loan program. And besides that, if you're watching what's going on in Congress today, trying to come up with a fourth or fifth round of legislation, we really don't have anything magical and new at the federal level. But what about the state level? for the most part, the state is, if you look at the government, state of California's website, they're very much kind of following along with what the federal government is doing. And let me back up to the federal government. If I had to break into what are their opportunities there, the PPP program, you're right. That was the big kind of item of importance. It's closed now. There's sort of other loan programs out there that are available, and we've had some clients take an interest in the Main Street Lending Program. So we have a couple where we're talking about what they can do with their balance sheets and so forth to take advantage of that program. Other than that, what I would tell you, probably the most exciting thing is that, hey, there are some tax provisions, and I say exciting as a tax person, that are still relevant. Enhanced interest deductibility for a lot of our clients that are private equity backed. That ability to deduct interest way and beyond what we were allowed to or limited to back in 2017 due to tax reform is very important. Net operating loss carrybacks, also very important. Those are probably the two items that have ongoing relevance in 2020 to our clients. But outside those two key tax provisions, the NOL carryback, the interest deductibility, and the other loan programs out there, just from my review of recently of what's going on, I would tell you one thing, maybe two things to think about. New. One is the issue of the exemption of PPP loans being taken into income. Basically, the tax code or the Congress has said basically, hey, we're going to exclude any forgiveness of indebtedness in PPP loans. Just in the last couple of weeks, the state of California said, we're going to conform. That's a big deal. That's important. So definitely talk to your tax advisor. Make sure that if you're going to go through the forgiveness route for federal and California, you got to take a look at that. The other thing people are talking about is that on the employee payroll tax deferral, Social Security in particular, we had the option a while back to look at the employer side Social Security deferral. We've had clients take advantage of that. If you review 10Qs, you'll notice a number of public companies have also taken advantage of that. The new thing recently has been, what about the employees side? We're not getting a lot of takers because a lot of our companies say, hey, our employees will be happy to have a deferral for a few months, but they're not going to like the enhanced withholding in January forward next year. So anything new or super exciting? No, but a lot of still good stuff out there that's worth reviewing with your advisor.
Thanks, Atul. I think as we talk with more businesses, specifically when it talk referring to the PPP and forgiveness, I think that's going to be a particularly important issue for business to understand the parameters and the guidelines around forgiveness and what that looks like. Brian, I want to go back to something that you had mentioned earlier about opportunities. So we all know that with challenges and change also come great opportunities and the possibilities for them to exist. We've written about some of the most fantastic innovations from businesses from all different types of industries over the last 6 months. So I'd like to ask Brian, you and Atul, what are some of the positive opportunities that you've seen with your clients today, and what do you sort of envision moving forward with that?
Josh, the business community, as you've mentioned, has been resilient, and they've figured out a way to pivot to a work from home environment. And many are actually seeing an increasing in productivity as it pertains to their sales teams working virtually. We are as well, less travel, more efficiency, an ability to be able to connect with more people. So something I think in the beginning of this pandemic that we thought, how were we going to function from a sales environment with so much of that being interaction, being face-to-face in that social interaction that does pertain to sales a lot, or the perception that it pertains to sales, that we've really seen increased efficiencies from working home and still being able to execute and reaching sales goals and being able to effectively still communicate with people.
Atul, what would you say about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, Josh, much the same as Brian said. I think what's really happened here, if you look at it from a kind of glass half full approach, is that every business, even personally as well, everyone got feedback. The universe gave you feedback on your business. So we had a lot of clients go back and reconsider how they're conducting their operations. I think one of the most interesting things was just having clients that maybe in the middle market traditionally depended on traditional retail for distribution, saying, you know what, we really need to have any proper e-commerce strategy. And then we've got the opportunity to really go and engage with them and say, yes, you do. You got that feedback, we'll help you out with that. So we've had clients on sort of the demand side and then also on the supply side. Even pre-COVID, we have so many clients, particularly with the clients that I work with that are global in nature, manufacture in China. We're looking at China +1 strategy. Where else do we manufacture? And so I think the beauty of what's happened, if there is something to be found here, is that everyone is reconsidering both supply side and demand side, what they're doing. And I think new revenue streams, new ways distributing product, making their supply chains less fragile, I think that's or less or more flexible. I think a lot of good stuff can come out of this revisiting what they're doing.
Yeah, I think a lot of businesses would probably agree that this has really required them to look deeper and figure out new ways of generating revenue, new revenue sources, new streams. Brian, it sounds like your organization has figured out that efficiencies can turn into increased revenues. I think there are still a lot of businesses out there that are seeing massive, if some declines in sales and revenues, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But we've seen business models change because they've had to, and of course, when new models change, new opportunities come into play. And one of the things that we've seen is an increase in M&A activity in the market. Brandon, I'd like to ask you, from a banking and a finance perspective, how would you rate or describe the current M&A environment?
Yeah, I think you already touched on it. It's pretty interesting because I think we all saw a pause in activity across the board, including in M&A. But for us at the bank, not only in our portfolio, but through our investment bank as well as our networks, it's clear that there's been a pickup in M&A activity. And by that, I mean everything from deals being launched, diligence being kicked off, and all the various advisors being engaged to help companies. So, I think it's a reflection that there just continues to be an abundance of capital available. And here it would be private equity and strategic capital, primarily looking for investment opportunities. And so I think, the other thing I would note is that on the seller side, some level of election related uncertainty to our tax laws is also driving some sellers to take a hard look and consider a transaction at this time. So, like you said, it's clear things have picked up.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of that. Brian, you mentioned efficiencies being up and sales organizations really being able to and figure out a way to get in front of clients. We do see a lot of industries, and it definitely varies by industries, but we see a lot of industries that are struggling and their revenues are down. One of the biggest impacts that we see when we see reduced revenues is a slower receivable cycle. And so I'm curious, I'm going to ask Atul first and then Brian, how has this impacted cash flow situations with your clients? And to add to that, what recommendations are you giving to help bridge some of those gaps? Atul, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean the sort of more basic things, slow pay your receivables too. Nothing magical there. Everyone is kind of extending out, like you're suggesting, the slow paying of their receivables. I mean, that makes sense, or their payables rather. So, and what's happening though is that's spreading out throughout the economy, right? Everyone's slow paying there. So that's kind of the bread and butter stuff. Outside of that, given what I do with cross-border work, a lot of clients that, because of 2017 tax reform, had an interesting situation arise where they can now tap in a lot of their foreign cash abroad, maybe in excess of working capital or expansion needs. I've personally had an uptick in clients saying, hey, Tool, we could really use the cash here. How do we do this in an efficient manner? So besides the bread and butter, slow paying your payables yourself, looking offshore, looking to other places where cash is sitting, and trying to get it around the structure appropriately.
And Brian, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, a little bit to the same of what Tool said, but we're seeing even our clients, in delaying the payment terms, but also some of their customers that are being impacted, which is affecting their bottom line. And in terms of like recommendations, we're having lots of discussions with first-time buyers about credit insurance. And what credit insurance is, which is essentially is coverage for bad debt. So clients are exploring buying this insurance on a single debtor, or others are looking at it at their entire customer base or supplier base in order to protect their downside. And by chance that their customers that are paying them all of a sudden go under, they're protected in terms of protecting their bottom line and their cash flow.
Well, it sounds like, Brian, that could certainly be, as far as credit insurance, a way to help mitigate the domino effect of, lower revenues, slower receivables, lower cash flows. So that's interesting that that option exists. Um, you know, Over the last many months, the Business Journal, we've held several different panels, and we've tried to cover a lot of different topics ranging from wealth advisory and real estate services to both and to healthcare and technology. One of the common themes that we've heard in all of these across the board has been some challenges for businesses for access to capital. And Brandon, you mentioned there's an abundance of capital. So I wonder if there's a disconnect between some of the experiences that businesses are seeing and going through and what's actually available through the banking system or other lending opportunities. So Brandon, I'd love to hear from you. How are you addressing this, and how are you keeping businesses going?
I mean, yeah, it's a great topic, and yeah, you mentioned it already. I think there's an abundance of capital, and it takes a lot of different forms. And I think one of the disconnects, and that is playing out right now in the market, is really just figuring out what's the right type of capital for a given situation. And in a market like this, where there's depending on the individual company and the situation, the type of capital very, very well could be different than it was 6 months ago. And so whereas you might have been able to call your bank or another debt provider, now you might have to look towards some sort of equity, whether it's junior equity or convertible, minority equity, or those types of things. But it's clear to me from where I sit that there are a lot of capital providers across the board really looking to participate in this market and hunting for opportunities. So that's kind of some of the insight I would provide.
Brandon, on that note, let me just ask, where would you recommend a business owner turn first to get advised and to learn more about what some of these opportunities might be?
Hey, well, of course, I would advise to turn to your banker, who's hopefully a trusted advisor, like we try to be for our clients. But yeah, I mean, I think this is where all of us look to leverage our personal board of directors and key strategic advisors to try to understand what our options are. And it's something we've been doing actively with clients and trying to help them navigate this situation. I think the CARES Act, the PPP program, as well as other grant programs have really, I think, provided a bridge to push some of those conversations down the road. But depending on what happens next, though, they may increase in volume, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would make sense to continue to work with your trusted advisors, your advisory services groups, the people that continue to work with you each and every day. I appreciate that. Thanks, Brandon. All right, so we're gonna go to our final question before our awards, and I'm actually gonna pose this question to each of our panelists. Look at this as your parting thoughts, if you will, and I think it's also a really good segue into honoring our CFOs. So I'd like to ask each of you to tell us about a recent CFO partnership success that you've been a part of. So this could be a complex transaction, it could be a positive opportunity, a problem that required a very unique and challenging solution. You know, after all, I think most of the CFOs that we'll be honoring today probably deal with these types of things on a daily basis. So I'd love to hear from each of you. And Atul, I'd like to start with you.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. I mean, I think the one I alluded to earlier, just that a client of ours that had really significant foreign operations that had a lot of cash pooled offshore, when they had some liquidity issues, significant liquidity issues in the US, and they talked to us about how we could tap into those foreign earnings, or cash pools rather. It really opened up a whole set of conversations, not only about moving the cash to where it was needed, but looking at potential future M&A. You know, how do they want to realign maybe their foreign entities into different groups for future acquisitions or dispositions? And it gave us an opportunity, than being just a pure technician, to have some really great strategic conversations about where the company's going. and to pull in people outside of the tax realm to talk to them about, due diligence, and to even gut more to the C-suite beyond the CFO or in addition to the CFO, just to do the stuff we like doing best, being that trusted advisor and talk to strategic type conversations. But yeah, so it started off a question about liquidity, turned into a whole range of other conversations that we were able to assist with. So it was good.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Brandon, what about you? Tell us a success story specifically relating to a CFO that you worked with that we can all perhaps relate to and learn from.
Yeah, I was challenged a bit to think of a specific example, because the example that I'd like to use actually applies to multiple clients. And, kind of like we've been talking about, this is a really unique environment that's challenged everyone. And the example that I would give would, we've found the opportunity to roll up our sleeves and assist our clients in dealing with this situation. And that's by digging in and at times providing cash flow modeling templates to determine really what the near-term capital needs are going to be, and really working in a collaborative fashion to help deliver in the end to the bank the information we need to support our clients. And so I think it's been kind of a partnership, roll up your sleeves opportunity, for overall unfortunate reasons, but I think we've tried to use it as a great opportunity to demonstrate the value that we can bring. So that's the example I'd use, Josh.
Thanks, Brandon. And Brian, we're going to have you give the final word here.
Sounds good, Josh. When we looked at this question, I thought about one of our more impacted industry clients, in terms of a large restaurant chain. They weren't doing takeout delivery prior to the pandemic, so we had to help them understand their new risk issues in hiring drivers and everything that comes with, delivery safety protocols. Fortunately, those deliveries got their revenues up to 30% of normal, and then as the economy started to open up, they were able to open some of their restaurants with patios. That got their revenues up to about 75% of normal sales. But the insurance program that was put in place before the pandemic was based on a much higher sales figure than what they had been doing. So we were able to work with the CFO to gather data, which allowed us to negotiate with the insurance company to get their refund now in the middle of the pandemic, rather than them having to wait until the end of the policy term, which was Q1 of 2021. So, it was a great story, because this resulted in over $1 million in premium being returned to this client of ours in July, right in the middle of this, which allowed them to use in order to cover ongoing operating expenses. So a real great story with a great outcome.
Well, that's a really great example, and that's something I think a lot of businesses can relate to. I think we've heard a lot of things over the last 25 minutes that there's opportunities out there. There are ways for businesses to connect, and more than anything, work with your trusted group of advisors. Work with those that you do on a regular basis. I think there's a lot of positive on the horizon. I want to thank each of our three panelists, Brandon, Brian, and Atul. Thank you all for joining us today. We really appreciate your insight and the conversation that you have. I think it helps us set the stage in a really great way for understanding the types of things that each of our CFOs are dealing with on a daily basis in a more complex way than they have in years past. So I really look at this year's set of nominees as being unique and special and really just truly outstanding. Thank you again to the panel. And I think we've made you wait long enough. So we are going to hop into the awards portion and start recognizing our market's very best CFOs. As I mentioned earlier, this year we're going to be announcing 3 finalists and ultimately 1 winner in 9 different award categories. Each of our finalists are leading their peer groups and are worthy of extra recognition. So with that, let's get to our first award. Here to announce the first category, please welcome Alan Bell, Partner and Private Company Services Leader for Southern California with PwC. Alan?
Thank you, Josh. PwC is proud to be part of this wonderful event. We have over 2,000 people providing assurance, tax, and advisory services in the LA and Southern California market. Our private company services practice is uniquely positioned to help private companies, their owners, and key stakeholders throughout their life cycle. I'd like to extend a special congratulations to all of the nominees. Each of you have demonstrated outstanding leadership in your respective organizations and tremendous resilience managing through the challenges faced the past 6 months. Now, the first award of the program is for Rising Star of the Year. Our finalists are Omer Anajafi from Anastasia Beverly Hills, Cheryl Collette from Anavive Life Sciences, and Daisy Warren from Redcar Properties. Congratulations to all 3 finalists. The 2020 honoree for Rising Star of the Year is Omer Anajafi, Director of Financial Planning and Analysis at Anastasia Beverly Hills. Omer is playing a key role for the prestigious LA-based beauty brand. Although a Director of Financial Planning, his most recent involvement in a private equity transaction granted him the role of interim CFO. Additionally, Omer will be starting UCLA's Executive MBA program this fall to expand his business network and learnings. Omer's with us today, and we'd like to have him say a few brief words.
Hi, everyone. Wow, thank you very much. It's a great honor to be considered and to be selected, and especially to be with those fellow nominees. Very fortunate. I want to thank my team who nominated me. And yeah, I haven't quite held the CFO title yet, but I've been able to step into some of those duties more recently. So thank you guys, and thank you to the LA Business Journal.
Omer, we're not going to let you off that easy. We do have a couple of questions just so our audience can get to know you a little better. So tell us how long you've been in the top financial officer role and what led you there.
Sure. So I've been in head of finance roles formally at my last role for about 2.5 years. And then most recently at Anastasia Beverly Hills, we actually, I did have a boss, but he retired. And so we've been going through a little bit of a leadership transition over the last about 1.5 years.
Great. And what's been the most challenging part of your job?
The most challenging part, I think, is just competing responsibilities. You know, as there's a vacancy in a head role, I think I absorb those duties additionally to my normal duties, but it's also been challenging and rewarding.
Well, great. Well, congratulations again, and good luck in MBA school.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Alan. Congratulations to all of our nominees and then our finalists and ultimately our winner, Amer. Congratulations. Now I'd like to welcome Tom Jennings, Southern California Market Executive of BMO Harris Bank, to announce our next award. Tom?
Thank you, Josh. And on behalf of BMO Harris Bank, we would love to say huge congratulations to all of this year's nominees. Our next award in the program is in the startup company category. Now, this honoree stood so far above the competition that for this category, we're only announcing one winner. And for that, the 2020 honoree for CFO of a startup company is Scott Lai with Burst USA. Scott has an exceptional track record for helping venture and private equity-backed startup companies grow, and he's doing that right now with Burst USA. Wears many different operational hats and credits his abilities to communicate and negotiate to his diverse background and upbringing. In addition to the CFO role, if he didn't have enough work to do already, he also started a business to provide pro bono advice to those in need. So Scott, congratulations, and we'd like to invite you up to say a few words.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for being here today. Thank you, Los Angeles Business Journal and this year's sponsors for hosting this year's event. I'm truly honored to be here to receive this recognition. So many people ask me, what does it take to thrive in a startup? 1, always watch your cash. 2, Always be a good listener so you can analyze and identify the true issues to address. Always define your parameters so you can budget time and resource to attain your targets. Never be afraid to try something new, whether it's new idea or new method, since not every issue is built the same way. With this combination, you're always learning, improving, and putting more tools in your toolbox. And with that, I want to thank my team, especially Brittany Stewart and Hamish Kaya, the founders of Burst, for their faith and trust in me, giving me the room to flex my arms, do whatever it takes to build a stronger team with them. I want to thank Larry Chan, Volition Capital, for what he saw in me to take Burst to a new level. I want to thank our board of directors and investors for being key to our growth and success and have lent their wisdom to us. I also want to thank Sarah Solbeck, my accounting manager, for your dedication and vigor. I want to thank my mentors. There's so many of them, but especially Laurie Ogden, CBRE, and Mary Mollenhoff in Sparity for your kind nomination and continuous mentorship. Last, I want to thank my wife, Amy, and friends for endless care and amazing understanding and support for my well-being and career growth. Once more, I'm very honored to be here. Thank you.
And Scott, you took away my first question there. You answered it, but you answered it so eloquently and made sure you hopefully got everybody thanked in appropriately there. Just jumping quickly to one more question before we hand back to Josh. Maybe speak a little to how this role at Burst at the moment compares to previous experience roles you've had.
Working at Burst, I think, I truly understood what's teamwork, the value of teamwork and collaboration versus internal competition. We know the competition is everywhere, but working at Burst, we channel that competition to outside of Burst. This is where a startup company really differentiates itself from other businesses. Many situation issues will come out unexpectedly, so teamwork becomes extremely critical at Burst. I'm very fortunate to work with a team that everyone complements each other well. Thank you.
Congrats again, Scott, and back to you, Josh.
Well, thank you so much, Tom. Scott, congratulations to you. My two key takeaways, I love watch your cash and don't be afraid to put yourself out there and try something new. Good advice from the words of a startup. All right, so with that, I'd like to welcome Dean Chandra Subramanian of the David Nazarian College of Business and Economics at CSUN to announce our next award. Dean?
Thank you, Josh. I'm honored to present the Nonprofit CFO of the Year Award. But before I do that, let me say a few words about Nazarian College, since it's the only educational institution we have on this program. We applaud the decision, the discipline, and the dedication of all the individuals being honored here today, as we strive to provide the highest quality education in LA area and beyond. Awards and recognition allow us to measure ourselves to the competition, like all of us do. A few quick examples. The Nazarian College runs a volunteer income tax assistance program, which is ranked as the largest university-based program in the country for the second year in a row. This year, we served about more than 5,400 low-income recipients with their tax filing and helped them bring back more than $10 million back to San Fernando Valley in tax refunds and credits. This was done during a pandemic where we had to move from a face-to-face model to a virtual model right in the middle of tax season. Just recently, Money Magazine ranked the Nazarian College as number 31 in the nation for educational quality and value. And CSUN ranked as number 6 most transformative university, for which we are very proud. While our programs are ranked by ranking agencies, what we're most proud of is our students and alumni. CSUN has the most diverse student population in the nation, and we ranked number 2 in the country in the new recent Wall Street Journal Time Higher Education ranking that just came out today. In essence, by the way, more than 50% of our students are first generation college bound, and more than 75% of our students work more than 25 hours a week in order to support their education. As a consequence, CollegeNet recognizes CSUN as the 13th best in providing our students social mobility, and this is a proud achievement. Our students are diverse, and many of you know who take our students as your employees. They're technically competent, hardworking, and have little sense of entitlement. And this is actually shown by other virtues, by the fact that more than 20% of our managing partners in the top 100 accounting firms in LA are CSUN alumni, notwithstanding many of the CFOs here tonight who are also CSUN alumni. Thank you again for allowing us to be here today and supporting such incredible professionals. Congratulations to all of our honorees. And now I have the pleasure of announcing the finalists and our winner in the nonprofit category. Our finalists are David Feldman, Jewish Family Service, Los Angeles; Cynthia Purley, One Legacy; and Mitchell Thomas, Martin Luther King Community Hospital. And drum roll, please. The 2020 honoree for Nonprofit CFO of the Year is David Feldman, Jewish Family Service, LA. David began his involvement with Jewish Family Service, LA as a volunteer, and then later left the private sector to step into the CFO role. His passion, knowledge, skills, and leadership allowed the organization to expand and navigate financial difficulties. David is focused on the bottom line, but most importantly, in providing services to those most vulnerable throughout the LA community. Now, David, congratulations, and we'd like you to say a few words.
Wow, hope you all can hear me. And it's tough to follow the dean, but what an honor. And I want to thank you, Josh, and the LABJ team, and congrats, of course, to my fellow nominees. So this is really an award, by the way, for the JFS team. And for those of you who don't know about JFS, I'm about to give you a little commercial. So we're the oldest charity in LA, founded in 1854, focused on one thing: improving our LA community through social services. So that's food, counseling, family and domestic violence services. We serve tens of thousands of clients every year, anyone in need across 12 locations. And by the way, during this time with COVID, the needs have grown, and we've been able to deliver without missing a beat, thanks in part to the solid financial foundation we've built. As the dean alluded to, often applying a business mindset to nonprofit challenges, supported by my time in the business world, staying on budget, paying down our debt, doubling our reserves, more than tripling our liquidity in a couple of years. And I want to thank our incredible board and staff, including our chair, Nina Tassler, past chair, Shanna Passman, CEO Eli Beitzer, Susie Forraderi, our finance chair, Randy Magnan, my team, our supporters and partners, and everybody who nominated me. Of course, it's a good move here. My beautiful wife, Erin, who first got us involved here as volunteers many years ago, and look where that led. So thank you all so much.
So David, congratulations again. So the audience gets to know you better. I wanted to ask you two questions. Being a CFO at a nonprofit is both rewarding and challenging. How is it different than the work you may perform at a for-profit?
Yeah, look, it's a great question, and I got the dean, so I don't know if I'm going to get a grade on my answer, but I hope it's good. But look, it's incredibly rewarding to go to work each day and apply my business skill set to make a difference in the community, helping those in need. But to really answer your question, it's a little different, but not a lot different, meaning that the what is not really that different. What I mean by that is the financial operations. So we're focused really on the same things that probably every CFO on this call is focused on: our budgets, cash flow, audits, expense ratios, investments, financing costs, liquidity, all that stuff. The difference is really the why. And what does that mean? So in a for-profit entity, obviously, there are shareholders. In our organization, and for not-for-profits, our shareholders are different. They're effectively the community, our supporters, our clients. So said another way, we're really looking to be double bottom line positive not just focused on net income, which is important, of course, but also focused on the net community impact. So we need to maintain both.
Dean, I think maybe you're.
Oops, sorry.
There you go.
Thank you. So this is, in your case, it's similar to an education institution. We are a not-for-profit. We get less dollars, and the question is we still have to make sure all our students are graduating and do that. So how are nonprofits, in your case, adapting to the pandemic?
Yeah, look, I mean, that's a great question. And this actually, by the way, we had a board meeting yesterday, and one of our board members, I think who's on the call, said that one of our strengths in our organization has been how nimble we are and our ability to pivot. And we've been around 160 years, and we hope to be around much longer through the pandemic. But in terms of adapting, we're an essential business. So we've been open, and the needs actually, as you can imagine, for a social service organization have grown. Calls into our helpline are up 50%. Calls into our domestic violence line are up 80%. Our shelters are full. The home delivered meals to our seniors is up over 2 times. So while the needs have increased, we've had to be there. And how have we been there? Well, obviously from my perspective, from a financial perspective, the planning actually happened before we knew there was a pandemic. We've been planning past couple of years, paying down debt, enhancing our liquidity, working with programs to stay on budget to be able to weather something like this. And of course, we never could have predicted that this would occur, but we were thankfully about as prepared as we could have been, probably in the best financial position the organization has ever been in. So having said that though, and I think panelists covered a lot of this too, but we've been doing some pretty rudimentary things that you might think. We're watching obviously our expenses very carefully and our payables, but also we're working closely with programs to stay on budget, and also being creative with our funders, meaning that some funding that may have been restricted, we've gone back to them and have tried to get that unrestricted. And I also have to say that as a nonprofit, and Dean, I know you experienced this too, we were so grateful for our supporters during the pandemic who have really been there for us. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, David. Much appreciated. Back to you, Josh.
Thank you so much, Dean. Congratulations to all 3 of our finalists, David, Cynthia, and Mitchell. Thank you for all the work you're doing in our communities. We know that in particular, the nonprofit sector has been faced with many challenges over the last 6 months and will continue to face them. So we wish you all well, and here to support you. All right, I'd like to welcome back to announce our next 2 award categories. Brian Haggerty, Principal Managing Director, Los Angeles, Employee Benefits Division with Marsh & McLennan Agency. Brian, welcome back.
Josh, thank you, and thank you again to the LA Business Journal. When we talk about thriving and pivoting, definitely putting it another great virtual event together. Understanding the times we were in today, to me this particular year was empowering to see how the business community in Los Angeles and specifically the CFOs nominated today have responded to this pandemic. In some instances, even have thrived. During a crisis, in order to survive, it takes courage, the ability to pivot and execute quickly. Specifically at Marsh McLennan Agency, we're your advocate and partner when it comes to supporting your company's insurance needs. And today of all days, it's more important than ever to have a partner that understands your business and has the depth of resources and leverage to support your changing needs. We welcome the opportunity to meet with you to build a strategy that ensures your success not only for today, but most importantly for the future. That being said, the first award that I will be presenting is for the Government Sector CFO of the Year. And like what our judges saw in the nonprofit category, our honoree in the government category stood tall against the other nominations. This year's honoree for Government Sector CFO of the Year is Ann Santilli at LADWP. As a certified public accountant and certified internal auditor, Ann has worked in the Los Angeles government utility sector for over 30 years and has helped meet many challenging issues. Most recently during the pandemic, her, along with her team, have been able to secure a handful of very successful transactions. Her leadership is seen both in the office and in her volunteer work. Anne, congratulations. Feel free to say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you very much to LA Business Journal for this award. And thank you to my colleagues for nominating me. When they mentioned it, I realized, you know, a CFO doesn't get anything done without a great team. And that isn't just the financial team, but also our operations team. As you know, we serve over 1.5 million electric customers and almost 700,000 water customers. And our teams have done a great job during the pandemic. And I'm very fortunate to work here. And I'd just like to thank our general manager, Marty Adams, and the executive team. And also a big shout out to my family, my husband, Greg, and my kids, Robert and Lauren, who supported me during this career. It's been a great time. So thank you so much for this award.
And a few questions before we move on to our next award. You know, the public and government sector, you know, what got you working as a CFO in that area?
Well, I'm a Matador from Cal State Northridge, and started working almost directly out of school here, and spent a lot of time in internal audit and learning about controls and operations, and then moved into financial reporting. And just through my career, every job gives you something new to work on issues. And from financial reporting, when our chief financial officers had moved on, I was presented with the opportunity. And so far it's worked out well. I have an excellent group of other CPAs, chartered financial analysts, who are experts in their field, and I let them do their job, and they do the city well with all of their high performance.
Understanding your so much of your acknowledgement about your team, I have a feeling where this particular question may go with your answer, but what do you find most rewarding about your job?
You know, when the mayor got on the TV when COVID started and got to tell everybody the water is safe, no one has to run out and buy bottled water, there's such a feeling of pride, because, you know, we really do our best job to serve the citizens. And you see people that they're doing a great job, they're providing a service, we're affordable. And so, you know, there's a lot of community service from working at the city of LA. So I really find that beneficial and rewarding, and sharing that information with others.
And thank you. Congratulations again on the award.
Thank you very much.
So we're now going to start the Private Company Awards. The Los Angeles Business Journal has split this competitive category into 3 based on company size. We'll be announcing the finalists and honorees representing small, medium, and large private companies. The finalists in the small private category are the following: Brett Abbey, Mob Scene; Carolyn Contreras, Fiedler Group; and Jane Eagle, Bel Air Investment Advisors. This year's award honoree, congratulations to all 3, but this year's honoree for Small Private Company CFO of the Year is Brett Abbey of Mob Scene. Brett manages and executes all aspects of corporate operations, including finance and accounting, human resources, IT, security, and legal strategy for the content creation marketing agency. He thrives in business challenges, and most recently restructured revenue streams and integrated their systems, resulting in a record growth. Brett also makes it a priority to give back. Since education is his passion, he's currently mentoring 2 students from USC and 4 from St. Joseph's, both of which he is an alumni. Brett, congratulations. Feel free to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you to LABJ, the jury, all the sponsors. Certainly wouldn't have been even considered for something like this without my dear friend and mentor, Ken Simmerl. Thank you so much for everything you've done for me in my career, and fight on. You definitely, don't think you can get an award like this, especially when you work in an organized crime family like Mob Scene is. A special shout out and thank you to my collaborative management team led by our CEO and president, Tom Grain, Mitchell Rubenstein, and John Zaffarano. Thank you guys for dealing with all of my craziness in a creative environment. But like all the other CFOs that have said, it really does come down to your team. A huge shout out and thank you to a group of people that I really could not be here without. Louis Castaner, Danielle Carbon, Marie Zipperman, Joseph Costello, Brian Chacon, Tom Kemp, Jamie King and Vanessa Tronchi. Thank you guys for always having my back and keeping me out of trouble. So thank you very much. And a giant big thank you and I love you to my amazing wife, Kelly, and my two awesome kids, Jack and Charlie, who now actually get to see what Daddy does all day long. And thank you guys very much. And everyone, please stay well.
Congrats again, Brett. Few questions. Understanding that I do know you a little bit. How has your role changed since the pandemic started?
It's certainly gotten more intense, more flexible, more hybrid, I think, as you guys were noticing in the panel. You do have to bounce from the PPP funds and how does that work to how do you stay compliant with the CARES Act? How do you stay compliant with workers' comp and trying to get people back in the office? How do you navigate all the pivots that you have to make as an organization? And really kind of go through all that at a hyper speed and then come up with a really, a good idea, a good bet, and then follow it through and then make changes as you see fit. I think kind of in some ways gone is let's make a bunch of committees and do analysis paralysis to find a solution. Now it's figure it out and go forward. And if you make a mistake, fix it and keep going.
So outside of as we talked about just being able to pivot and go, outside of potentially the pandemic ending, what are you looking forward to in the next year?
I think in many ways going to a movie theater with my wife, that'd be super fun, and really trying to just see my kids outside and back at school and being able to say goodbye to them for a couple hours a day at least, I think we all kind of want a little bit of that back.
I love the personal approach to the answer. Brett, thank you and congratulations on the award. And Josh, I will hand it back to you.
Thank you so much, Brian, and congratulations to both Ann and to Brett. Now to announce our next two awards, I'd like to welcome back Brandon Ferreira, Southern California Market Executive, Middle Market Banking from Fifth Third Bank. Brandon?
Hey, thanks, Josh. Hey, on behalf of Fifth Third Bank, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in virtually to join us this afternoon. A special thanks to all the nominees. Our California president, Joe Urosic, and I had a really great time in the interview process, which is really one of the best parts of being involved in the CFO Awards. And so really wanted to thank everybody that we met. Always great to meet new talented people in the business community. So thanks a lot. Fifth Third Bank is over 160 years old and the 10th largest bank in the country, with over 200 billion in assets. We opened our doors in 1858, and we put our clients and their businesses at the center of everything we do for that entire time. That's never going to change. Whatever your business goals are, we're here to help you succeed. In California, we like to think of ourselves as a 160-year-old startup. In just the last 3 years, our team in Southern California has grown to over 30 employees with offices in Orange County, Los Angeles, and the Inland Empire. In 2019, we even added an office in San Francisco. Our local team of banking experts has over 300 years of combined experience in Southern California with an average tenure of 20 plus years. All those years have been spent building relationships and providing meaningful financial advice. Fifth Third Bank is proud to be here today to honor our CFO of the Year nominees and the winners for their distinctive business accomplishments and contributions to the local community. The first award I'll be presenting is for the medium-sized private company category. And for this category, our finalists are Eric Chan with the LA Clippers, Ellen Leto with Platinum Energy, and Michael Marchetti with Age of Learning. And congratulations, the winner is Eric Chan with the LA Clippers. Eric leads the organization's financial operations, including establishing and implementing long-range financial strategy, policies, and goals. Eric helped navigate the Clippers through the unforeseen, challenging climate that the pandemic brought to the sports industry and assisted in the integration of the Clippers with the Forum venue. He is a board member of the LA Clippers Foundation, facilitating community givebacks annually impacting over 500,000 LA community members. Eric, congratulations. We'd like to invite you to say a few words.
Eric, you might be on mute if
Brandon,
you want to try unmuting.
Perfect. Brandon, thank you to you. Thank you to the LA Business Journal for the special award. It's truly an honor to be celebrated by and alongside my colleagues in the finance industry here in LA. More importantly, like Brett and Ann previously said, I'm really happy for this award because it's honestly an award for my extended team. Tasakuye, Tracy Pan, Ramon, Thomas, Sonny, Chuck, all those I've forgotten. All your hard work and dedication in the last few years has really kind of made the impact that I know that we could have made, and this award truly is a celebration for all of you. Also, like other speakers, I have to thank the loved ones who have tolerated the long days, late hours, and sacrifices that we in finance, frankly, seem to always be in. And this success wouldn't be possible without their strong support and patience. While the season didn't end the way that we wanted, the Clippers under Steve Ballmer's leadership has fundamentally prioritized innovation of thought and action, grit and determination, as well as a genuine desire to make an impact in the work we do. Ultimately, to put ourselves each and every day to win, whether that be on the business side or the basketball side. This award is truly a testament to my finance team's ability to live up to those attributes, to be the best financial stewards we can be for this great organization that I'm proud to be of. Thank you, LBAG, for this special award.
Hey, thanks, Eric, and congrats again. It's great to see you through my iPad here. The world's really changed since we had breakfast about a year ago in El Segundo. So, but it's good to be connecting. I wanted to ask you a few questions. Can you tell us about your role as CFO of the Clippers, and maybe in a little more color how you impact the organization?
Sure. I mean, as CFO, I lead the organization's financial operations, including establishing and implementing long-range financial strategy, policy, and goals. We do a lot of project management for a lot of the Clippers organization, and we cross-functionally impact marketing, sales, and even some of the basketball side. In terms of kind of focus areas, a lot of it is around streamlining financial processes, finding ways to increase profit, and overseeing kind of budget and other initiatives. That's kind of like the day-to-day stuff. What I find myself also doing, frankly, is being a brand ambassador to the Clippers organization. I see myself oftentimes spending time in LA with some of my financial counterparts, but also CEOs of startups and large companies, and trying to figure out ways that the Clippers organization and other partners within the LA community can work better together. So in many ways, it's an inside kind of inward focusing, operational detail kind of a role, but externally a lot of kind of championing for what the Clippers want to be, especially here in the LA community.
Great, that's really interesting. Next question, you're very involved in the LA finance community, mentoring and advising startups. Can you talk a little bit about why that's important to you?
Sure. First, I actually spent a bunch of years early in my life in the Bay Area, and honestly and objectively, I honestly love the community down here significantly more because of the genuine relationships that are established here. And not to say that those in the Bay Area are much different, but I really feel like there's a tight-knit network we have here in the finance community at large. And Brendan, obviously having a chance to meet you last year, having a bunch of time spent with Brian Hegarty as well. A lot of this is, I feel like we spend a lot of time helping each other because, in many ways, kind of with the spirit of the Clippers, like we want to help those that we can feel like we can add value to, and that this ultimately will lift all ships up in the future. And so I spent a lot of time kind of mentoring, spending time with other executives just to figure out how I can be helpful. Whether that be to help them grow as professionals. And, one of our previous winners, Scott Lai, used to work with me. And so happy to see him win, the CFO award this year as well. And to those in the business community where we can kind of figure out, interesting strategic ways to move our, business mutually, up together. And so You know, in a long-winded way, I mean, I think, you know, helping each other is really important. It really speaks to kind of what, you know, what and who I am, but also kind of to the spirit of what the Clippers bring to the LA community.
Awesome. Hey, thanks a lot, and congrats again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Next up, and rounding out the private company category, here are the finalists for large private companies. Lilith Davtian at Finexa, Yuna Lee at Goat Group, and Chris Lynch with Living Spaces Furniture. The 2020 honoree for large size private company CFO of the year is Lilith Davtian of Finexa. Lilith brings extensive experience working with numerous Fortune 500 companies and is a certified public accountant. Her role encompasses business development and compliance to human resources and talent acquisition. She has always been the first to care about her community, and with her leadership, Finexa was able to construct new homes with Habitat for Humanity and organize meals to be delivered to essential hospital workers during the pandemic. Lilith, congratulations. We'd like to invite you to say a few words.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Brandon, so much for the warm introduction. I am so deeply honored to receive this award. Thanks to everybody that's been participating in the nomination process, planning and decision making. I'm sure it was a difficult decision considering the great list of nominees that I saw. So thank you again. I feel incredibly lucky. I'd like to extend a special thanks to my husband, who is my best friend and biggest supporter in my career. And for those of you that don't know Finexa, it is a software as a service tool for real-time call and web lead tracking and distribution for businesses. We service lots of different industries. We specialize in high consumer demand space, which is such as the financial services, insurance, and home services space. And we've come a long way with our incredible leader and company owner, David Gasparian. 4 years ago, we were picking a name for the company, and now literally this week, we are doubling the size of our US office to accommodate all the talent that we have been hiring. So thank you again for recognizing us for this amazing opportunity.
Hey, congrats again, Lilith. I also have a few questions for you. First, what's the most rewarding part of being a CFO for you?
To me, it's been the opportunity to be working with so many different departments, so many different talents. I obviously CFO, it seems like a very financial specific role, but I think every single department is tied back to it so nicely. So having the opportunity to be able to interact with people of all kinds of backgrounds and talents has been the most rewarding part for me.
Great. Hey, second, what's the most difficult part about being a CFO? I guess going to the other side.
COVID. We haven't been around for too long. So part of the difficulty has been to, keep our customers in mind while at the same time making sure our employees are happy and we're hiring talent, making sure that everybody's doing their job for themselves and for the company, and keeping that motivation alive has been difficult, but definitely successful so far. So.
Awesome. Well, congrats again.
Thank you.
And I'll turn it back to Josh.
Thank you so much, Brandon, and congratulations, Eric and Lilith. Well deserved. Our private categories are always so competitive, so congratulations to all of our nominees and our finalists in those categories. All right, we are down to our final two awards. Here to present them, please welcome Los Angeles and Southwest Market Leader for RSM US, Joe Mazza. Joe?
Thanks, Josh. And to all the honorees, thank you. You guys have been thanking a lot of people, but I would like to thank you all for everything you do for the LA business community. You guys are the folks that help make it thrive. So for the 6th year, RSM has been proud diamond sponsor of the LA Business Journal CFO Awards. The primary reason that we're a diamond sponsor of this event is that we partner with CFOs like you every day. RSM is the largest firm globally focused on serving middle market companies with audit, tax, and business consulting services. Through our work, we support you in achieving your goals. I would also like to congratulate the impressive CFOs and applaud all the efforts on behalf of your companies for the winners, as well as for the rest of the honorees. So I have the pleasure of presenting 2 awards today. The first award that I'll be presenting is for the Public Company CFO of the Year. Our finalists in this category are Philip Ahn of B. Riley, Steve Binder of Mankind, and John Fleming of Uniball, Rodamco, Westfield, and as John told us about a week and a half or so ago, we all know them as Westfield. So congratulations to 3 well-deserving finalists. The 2020 Public Company CFO of the Year is Steve Binder of Mankind. Over the last 3 years as CFO of the biotech company, Steve has worked very hard to capitalize and restructure the company. Today, they are thriving and seeing continued revenue growth, which has allowed him to build out the team in LA. Steve is a lead asset in the company, and his work allows them to transform the care of diabetes and develop their research pipeline. Steve, congratulations. I'd like to invite you to say a few words. Steve, you may be muted.
Can you hear me now? All right. Thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate it. I'm very excited about to win this award. I want to thank the Los Angeles Business Journal and the selection panel. You put this on every year, and I do appreciate all the effort that everybody goes through. I joined Mankind about 3 years ago, and I joined it for 2 reasons. One was it was a personal and professional challenge for me to join a company and to help the management team turn the company around. The second was that I saw a product and a technical platform that transforms people's lives. We have a product called Afrezza, which is an inhaled insulin, and is for insulin-dependent diabetics. And when Mike Castagno, our CEO, said, go check out YouTube and see what patients are saying about Afrezza, it really does transform their lives. It's been a terrific and tremendous ride for the last 3 years. I couldn't be where I am without my wife, Sean, the finance team at Mankind, and certainly the management team, the leadership team at Mankind. Sean, my wife, challenges me and encourages me to go beyond where I feel comfortable. And she's always been a great advisor and a sounding board for me. So I really appreciate that, Sean. Thank you so much. The finance team, bring in great talent, surround yourself with a great talent pool, and let them do what they do. And I can't have had any of the successes I've had over the last 3 years without the finance team at Mankind. So thank you so much. And the last is the leadership team at Mankind. We work in a very entrepreneurial environment. And when we talk to investors, investors say, we want to invest in great management teams because great management teams can make companies successful. And I just want to thank the leadership team at Mankind because you helped me be successful as well. So Joe, thank you so much for the award. I appreciate it.
Congratulations again, Steve. A couple of questions for you, if you have. So the first one is, being CFO of a public company has required a different skill set than that of a private company. What do you see as the biggest difference, and how do you account for that?
Yeah, so I had actually come from very large public multinational companies, but I was running business units. So a $10 billion business unit for Bristol Myers Squibb as an example. And then I came in as a public company CFO, and you have to have a very different set of skills. I deal a lot externally, which I hadn't done running a business unit of a large multinational. So dealing with Wall Street, dealing with the analysts, raising money, working with your debt holders, working with stockholders, potential investors, So for me, the focus externally is a very different perspective than what I had done for the previous 25 years in life sciences.
Great. What do you find is the most rewarding part of your job?
Most rewarding part is to see patients transform their lives on our drug. And in fact, a note came out this morning from our CFO, and it was a copy of a note that was sent in by a patient. And this person's 24 years old. They came down with type 1 diabetes 2 years ago. They were on multi-daily injections of insulin, and they moved over to our inhaled insulin for their mealtime insulin. And the way that she described how it changed her life, it just gives me goosebumps. It's what I've joined MannKind for, and it's why I've been in biopharmaceuticals for over 25 years. It's really a terrific feeling.
That's great. Thank you. Clearly, you're passionate about what you do at MannKind, and we're glad that the company's there to do it for us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Congratulations again. Bye-bye. Okay, we're down to the last award of the program. The final award is called the RSM Middle Market Award. LA is a middle market town, which is why we've chosen to give out this special award. We want to honor the unique and special companies that comprise the middle market engine in LA. This year, we've decided to honor Steve Brecker of Headspace. Sorry, Sean Brecker of Headspace. Sean is the driving force behind all financial commercial matters, overseeing the growth of Headspace. The mediation application tool, most recently, they have expanded their global footprint, launching into multiple international markets and secured strategic partnerships with the NBA, Nike, Amazon, and Apple. Additionally, their B2B business now offers Headspace to more than 1,000 companies. Sean, congratulations. We'd like to invite you to say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joe. Really appreciate the warm intro. Thanks so much to the LA Business Journal and the RSM for this great award. You know, in a year in which there's not that much to celebrate, it really feels great to be here celebrating today and to be in the company of so many talented finance executives who I want to, sincerely thank for all that they do to really help, drive and power the LA business ecosystem. So congratulations to all the nominees. It's really humbling to be in your company. I want to thank all the folks at Headspace, and especially my finance team and our senior and extended leadership teams. I'm incredibly proud of how the team has rallied in the face of adversity this year. As soon as the pandemic hit, the team scrambled to help tackle the global mental health crisis by providing free Headspace to millions of people around the world, making Headspace available for free to the unemployed and the frontline healthcare workers, and unlocking major parts of the product for free to everyone else. And this was really no small feat, and I want to sincerely thank the team for their efforts. I also want to thank the founders of Headspace, Rich Pearson and Andy Puttychem, for recruiting me to the company 6 years ago when I had no operating experience. My career prior to Headspace was entirely as a derivatives trader at large investment banks. And so they really took a chance on me at a time when I knew nothing about how to run a startup. I remember fondly them asking me during the interview process, they said, "But you know how to use Excel, right?" And despite my protests that was almost certainly not the right question, they still hired me. I also want to thank my fellow board members at Headspace for always supporting me and for continually pushing me to be a better CFO. Their support is greatly appreciated. Finally, I want to thank my family and especially my beautiful wife, Heidi, who's been my biggest supporter over the past 20 years. She's put up with a lot of late nights and weekends at work, and I simply wouldn't be here without her. And to my smart, funny, kind kids, Felix, Eiffel, and Dashiell, and my beloved dogs, Cosmo and Primrose, thanks for always busting into my Zooms at the most inopportune and inappropriate times. I'm surprised they're not busting in as we speak. So thank you once again to the LA Business Journal and the RSM. I'm genuinely honored. Thank you so much.
Congratulations again, Sean. I want to ask you, if we take the pandemic aside, right? You talked about how the pandemic has impacted your business, but if we take that aside, what truly is the most challenging part of your day? Your business is very unique.
Yeah, I'd say, look, it has been challenging to, we're a very collaborative company. We're a very kind of team-oriented company. We have very strong camaraderie. And so to transition that to a world in which we're working remote has been challenging. But again, I think the team's really rallied and has done an amazing job. And I think that's just a testament to the sort of strength and impact of our culture. This is a mission. Our mission is to improve the health and happiness of the world. It's a mission that is bigger than any single individual. It's bigger than the P&L, frankly. And so I think when you work for a company that's so mission driven, regardless of whatever hurdles are put in your way or whatever challenges you have, people are extremely motivated to just keep on moving the ball forward. So we've been really fortunate that we've made a ton of progress this year, despite all the challenges. And yeah, I'm couldn't be more proud of the performance of the team.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Congratulations again. Congratulations again to all the honorees and the winners. Josh, back to you.
Thank you so much, Joe. How about a virtual round of applause for each one of our nominees, our finalists, and our honorees this year? I want to thank Fifth Third Bank, Marshall McLennan Agency, RSM, BMO Harris Bank, CSUN, and PwC for your continued support of this program. We truly can't do this without you, not just from a financial standpoint, but the expertise that you bring, the interviews, and the guidance that you provide throughout it. So thank you all for doing with us and for continuing to support CFOs in our region. I want to remind all of you out there that you're going to be able to read more about our finalists and our honorees in Monday's print and digital editions of the LA Business Journal. Additionally, this entire event has been recorded and will be available up on our website within the next 24 hours. Huge congratulations to our finance community. We truly look forward to hosting you next year, hopefully in person. Until then, thank you so much and stay safe. Have a good day.